Good morning. Hello, hello. Good to see everybody. Let's see. 1 second. Hi. Hi, Della. Take that off. Okay, great. I'm doing your little trick, Della, with disabling the waiting room. Seeing how that works today. Very excited. All right. Good morning. Let's see. We've got Jermaine. Hi, Jermaine. Good to see you. Hey, Joy. And Julia and Anat. Anat, it looks light out where you are still. Is that true? Oh, this is the first time. Wow, that's amazing.
It's because you've moved the clock.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. It's weird. Della, it's not working. I keep clicking the disable waiting room, but it says I've disabled it. But then people keep going there. I don't know. Well, whatever. I'm used to using it anyway, so I'll have to Google it later. I was all excited to try it. That's great, Anna. It's nice to see some light behind you there for a change. I mean, whatever, it doesn't really matter. It just sort of makes me feel like I'm a little bit more connected to your time zone, even though I know it's the same distance apart. All right. Not your screen is for you. Okay, let's see. So today, I'm just thinking how I want to prep you all for this. I think what I'm going to do, we're going to mostly, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but we're mostly going to have our eyes closed. You certainly can keep them open. So most of our attention will be on sounds and feelings. So if you want to have a window open, I think it looks like most everyone except for, a few people are inside, a few people are outside. So keep a window cracked if you can. And you're also welcome to keep your eyes open during this. I just think that with this particular activity we're going to do today, I think that it'll just be a little bit deeper and maybe a little bit more rich if you had your eyes closed. So it's your preference, whatever you want to do, doesn't matter. And so let's get started. It's good to see you folks. Hi, Jackie. Looks like Julia's here too. All right. And hi, Dawn. I don't know if I officially said hi to you. Hello. I get Jenna in here. Jenna. I haven't met Jenna yet. I'll just let her enter. All right. So go ahead and find a nice comfy place to sit. Hi, Jenna. Good to see you. And inside or outside doesn't matter. As I always say, if you're inside, just try and crack a window. If you're outside, awesome. And so let's start today by and I did want to say too, as always, again, if we have a couple new folks, that what I present here is all just an invitation. So you can play along if you want to, or you can do something other if you're called to do something other. So during the process, and most of it will be in silence, and then we'll have a little chat session afterwards. So, all right, find a nice cozy spot to sit. Get yourself grounded, and if you can put your feet on the ground, that's great. If you can't, that's okay too. Just noticing your connection right now with the earth. So whether you're feeling that below you or whether you're feeling that right next to you, if it's like a tree or a shrub or something, but just see if you can tap into that connectedness to the earth right now. And what would it be like to have yourself be in rhythm with the natural rhythm that's around you in this moment? For some, that might be a really relaxing kind of experience, and others, maybe not so much. If you're in a storm or something. But just being tapped into what the rhythm is in the natural world right now, and then what your rhythm is. Hi, Jacqueline. Good to see you. So once you've tapped into that for a moment, take a nice deep breath in, and then let it go. Really trying to just get all the air out of your body that you can. And then a nice deep breath in through your nose this time. And letting it go through your mouth. And so now scan the horizon for something that you can focus on off in the distance. So one focal point, one item that you can focus on right now. And as far away as you can possibly get would be great. And as all your attention is focusing on that one point, just allow your peripheral vision to soften. So you're still looking at that one point. Might be in front of you, might be to the side of you, wherever you're looking, doesn't matter. But you're going to slowly let your vision expand to take in as much as you possibly can. And the way to do that is to let everything become soft in your gaze, almost to the point, and sometimes to the point of it becoming blurry, which is kind of an unnatural thing for us modern humans to want to do. We all want to be in focus a lot. So see if you can give yourself permission to let things get a little blurry and soft right now. Today's practice is going to be a lot about subtlety and gentleness and some of the delicate aspects of life. And we'll begin tapping into this idea of subtlety with our vision and our eyes. And because I know that most of you are coming here because you love birds and you want to tap in more deeply to the birds, you can have your focus throughout this practice be all about the birds. So everything I guide you to do today, you can just focus whatever that is on birds. And so as you're looking now with this beautifully softened gaze, notice what happens inside your body. If anything shifts or changes as just your vision becomes softer. And then remembering to expand your vision in all directions. So right to left and up and down as well. And see how far out you can go on both sides and up and down as well. And so as you're allowing your vision to soften, see what kind of subtle motions you're picking up on right now. There'll, of course, be some big motions. Maybe a tree is blowing or you see a bird fly by really quickly. So there'll be the big motions. But today we're going to look for the more subtle and delicate motions. And just notice what comes up for you first. And again, if you want to look for a bird, maybe there's a bird at your feeder, if you've got a feeder in front of you, and you can look at the feeder, even though it's not as far away as I originally guided you to look. You can look at the feeder, find a bird, and then go into soften gaze. Just soften your eyes as you're looking at that bird. And then see if there's any subtle motions you can pick up when you're looking at that bird. There's more and more that science is starting to see simply with the use of photography and videography when you can slow things down. And when we slow things down, look in slow motion, a lot more is happening than what our eye often perceives. But who knows? Maybe we can pick up on more than we think if we just give ourselves a chance. So continue to remind yourself to keep looking for the subtle, the gentle, the softer motions, the almost imperceptible. Is there a way that the bird flicks its tail that you hadn't noticed before? And if so, is there a particular feather that it moves more often than the others? Maybe it's the way it feeds and chews on a seed that you can pick up on today. So we'll stay with our eyes open, just softly looking at the birds or whatever natural ones you want to draw your attention to right now. And I'll let us stay like this for a couple of minutes. So I'm going to mute myself. Another fun variation you can try with this is to watch the bird's shadows, if you can see shadows where you are today. So as you're looking for subtle motions, instead of looking at the bird itself, try to look at its shadow to see what you might pick up doing that. Okay, so we're going to shift over to our ears and the sounds we're hearing. And so at this point, if you'd like to take it a bit deeper, you can close your eyes if you're feeling like you're in a safe and secure location. You can also keep your eyes open. Maybe you're just really falling in love with what you're seeing right now. So you're welcome to keep your eyes open as well. And so as we shift our attention to the sounds of our environment, first, let's begin by listening to the prominent sounds. So even though we're going to shift to subtle in just a moment, first just identify and notice the sounds that are the loudest. Maybe the ones that are a little jarring, maybe if there's some human-made sounds, ones that stand out the most in your environment. And so just allowing these sounds to be what they are without any judgment about them. Now we're going to take ourselves a bit deeper and a bit more subtle. So now I'd like you to listen for the sounds that are the quiet ones, the really soft and gentle ones. And you can focus on one for a little bit and then shift to another. But try to continue to listen for what is even more subtle, even more quiet in the sound that you're listening to. So I'll let you sit in that way for just a few moments. So allow yourself to listen to all the layers of texture in these subtle sounds. And you can see if you can identify where they might be coming from, or just simply allow yourself to get absorbed in the gentleness of them, the subtleness of them. And so we're now going to add another layer onto our subtle perception. So you're still going to be listening for the sounds that are around you, but now we're going to add in the layer of smell. So trying to pick up on the most subtle scent you can smell in the air right now. So I'll let you do that for a few moments. Okay, and now we're going to add in the layer of touch. So still keeping your ears tuned in, and if your eyes are open, still allowing them to look for the really delicate movements and the sense that might shift or change in these next few moments. But now I'd like you to do, and this one works really nicely if your eyes are closed, but again, it's okay if you want to keep them open. So depending on where you're sitting and what the environment's like, you might have a strong breeze where you are, and others might have not much of one. So if you have a strong breeze and the sun, then I'd say feel for where on your skin you can feel the sun. And when, in terms of the subtleness, just notice where it might be warmer or cooler than other parts of your body. And if the wind isn't quite so strong today, just see what parts of your body you might actually feel the wind touching, or even just the gentle breeze in the air. Noticing where it touches your body and how it might be different in one part versus another. This one in particular can take quite a bit of focus sometimes, because our body, we've virtually trained it to not have to tune into these subtleties. We just allow the sun to touch us and the wind to touch us, and only really pay attention when we have to, like if we're getting so hot that the sun is burning our skin, or the wind is so strong that we have to pay attention to it. So now it might take a little effort to allow yourself to feel the subtleties that your skin is feeling. And just let yourself go there for a few moments. Right, and if you're someone that had your eyes closed for the last little while, just really slowly and gently you can open your eyes and continue to stay in that softened gaze. And we'll spend the last few moments of this practice with our eyes opened, just softly taking in everything, but not forgetting the sensations on our skin and what our ears are hearing. And continue to try and hear more and more, feel more and more subtleties. Okay, so take the next moment, and in your own way, you can offer gratitude or thanks for the ones that you connected with today and that shared themselves with you in whatever way they did. All right. Chickadee says it's time. So if folks have to go, that's great. You can head out. We're going to stay for a little bit longer and just chat. So anyone who wants to stay and chat, you can stay. And those who need to go, thank you so much for coming. So I'll just start with a little story, and then we'd love to hear from other folks too. So in the very beginning of the sit, while I was looking, so using my eyes for the first part, I actually got to watch this interaction between hi between a junco and a song sparrow. So the song sparrow came down and actually started to sing, and they're just kind of starting to sing around here right now. So it sang just a couple notes, and then it sang again a couple notes, not its full maids song. And then pretty quickly, the junco, this one particular junco, flew down and sort of dive bombed it. Not like a full, like it's dive bombing a predator, but it just sort of flew at the song sparrow, and the song sparrow kind of like ducked and stopped singing, and it moved to a different branch, and then it just sat there, and it sort of was like talking under its breath. It was like, choo, 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 choo. It would like sort of try to sing, but just so quietly and like little whispers of a song. And the junco was still kind of around. The song sparrow was just very subtly, just like it felt more like talking than singing, but it was melodic. It was a very melodious talk, and I don't know how much it was influenced by the junco, but I never really witnessed that before. Where the junco, it seemed like the junco was like, stop, quit singing, like just be quiet. And the song sparrow responded. It seemed to me anyway, but it was just I don't know if I probably would have heard it, but you had to be really quite quiet to hear the little subtle talking that it was doing. So it was just a really sweet moment this morning. Yeah, so curious if anyone else wants to share any bit from their experience this morning, what it was like for you today. And if you do, you can just wave your hand. Yeah, go ahead, Jackie.
I would like to say thank you, thank you, thank you. I got to see my first yellow warbler in my yard.
Ooh.
Very, very happy. They just come through for a little while here in Sacramento.
Yeah.
But gosh, they're so pretty. Just so brilliant.
Wow.
Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, Jackie. That's so exciting. Did you hear it or see it first? Eyes. Okay. Right on. It's rad. Yeah, Jermaine, go for it.
There, I'm unmuted, I believe. Just the feeders, but a real nice variety. I always get this red-breasted nuthatch at the suet, but most of the time it was a downy today. And and happily for me, a pair of bluebirds came over to the top of the feeder and were sitting there being happy. But the downy just got all excited and flapped his wings, and they weren't trying to get on the suet. They don't even go there much. And he just was all upset about them. And then he left. So, but he came back later when they weren't there. But I just never had seen that sort of a funny reaction from the woodpeckers before. I couldn't figure why he was so upset by them. They're kind of big, I guess, compared to him, but they were on the top of the feed. It's a hopper, and he was on the side, but it was kind of interesting. And there's so much noise today with there's some kind of a thing across the street. I think it's a gravel pit. And I hear the chin, 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 and the chime, as you could probably hear, is going a treat. And the awning is flapping. So there was quite a lot of noise, and then more and more subtle things to hear. Sometimes the tractor or whatever it is over there just kind of goes boom, 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 very, very softly. And sometimes the chime stops for 1 second, it's like going a treat. So it was a lot of fun with the sounds today and being outside. It's a little bit colder than, for sitting longer than this, but it's fun.
Yeah, good.
Thank you for leading us.
Sure. Thanks, Jermaine. I'm curious if anyone else, I had this thought that popped in my mind when you shared the bit about the reaction that the downy had to the bluebirds. And I wonder if anyone else had any thoughts when she shared that. Did anything come up for anybody as to sort of why the downy might have reacted in that way? I see Della's head nodding. What do you think, Della?
Well, my first thought was some people just sound grouchy all the time. And I think some birds sound grouchy. So that was my first thought.
Uh-huh. And I think, well, what she said express was a visual, like it was visually the,
Oh, okay.
In anything at the time.
Yeah.
I think our birds are talking to each other. I have a cardinal that's singing right now, and someone, well, I should mute myself. Our cardinals are going to get all upset at each other. All right. Anyone else interested in sharing their experience? That was a song sparrow. Go for it, Julia. Oh, wait, I was going to say, sorry, let me just, the thing that came to my mind about what Jermaine had said was that if you think about how the downy woodpecker nests, where they nest, and where bluebirds nest, anyone know where bluebirds nest?
Cavity.
What's that?
They're cavity nesters.
Cavity nesters, right? And so are downies. And so this time of year, people are starting to think about that, and they're starting to like look around for nesting locations and whatnot. And I wouldn't be surprised if a downy and a bluebird might want the same kind of location, a really similar location. I don't know for sure, but I wonder. And so this time of year, I wonder if the downy would be a bit more sensitive to the presence of especially two bluebirds, like a pair, just like, oh, and maybe they know each other. Maybe it's like, you guys, just get out of my space. I don't know. What do you think, Jermaine? Because they're your birds.
No, I think that was a good point. I hadn't thought of it. I don't have any bluebird boxes out, but there's plenty of trees, and I'm sure they're full of holes and things. So they could have seen each other, preparing a nest or thinking about it, or they may just be attentive because they're cavity nesters. I hadn't thought of that. Thank you.
Yeah, it could be a thing, maybe not, but it's just it's what popped into my mind anyway. Julia, go for it.
Well, this is so elementary, but a blue jay lit on my deck, and then it just jerked his head around different ways, not smoothly, but different directions. And so I noticed that this morning, and I'm wondering if the birds. It seemed to me like he was tilting to listen in different directions. And I'm wondering if birds have to do that because of where their ears are spaced, and I just haven't noticed it before.
That's really cool. What do other people think before I jump in? Anyone have a thought about that? Yeah, go ahead, Linda. What do you think?
I've seen the blue jays do that too. And actually I had 5 of them out here this morning, and they were all doing that. And then they'd make a noise like and bounce up and down on the on their they do that, but they do it for a little bit longer than usual, and then they cock their heads again, they look down, and I've often seen them do that, and I don't know if it's to get a better sound or a better visual take on something, a better visual fix, but they seem to do it, fairly often to when they land someplace.
Right on. Thank you. Anyone else have a thought about that might be different or similar? Yeah, Dawn, what's your thought?
Yeah, I suspect it's more visual, because I don't think they can move their eyes the same way we do, because they're so big, they take up so much space in their head that they don't have the musculature to move the eyes from side to side, so they have to turn their head to see different angles. So I suspect it's probably more visual than hearing.
Yeah, I don't know. I do. You're absolutely right. I know that they do it for visual, like especially that often keys me into there might be a hawk somewhere, like birds. If you see birds like stop all of a sudden and start to look up, But what Linda's describing is also interesting. Again, we have to remember what time of year it is and what kind of communication they might be having with each other, and all the subtle different ways that birds communicate. Kind of. You're so vocal right now. Kind of like sign language. Like for us. That might be us, like not talking, but using sign language to express ourselves. And so I don't know with what Julia might have been hearing this morning, if that could have been also a bit more. He's going off this morning. All right, I'm gonna stop talking. Let him just sing. Anyone else want to share their story? Yeah, Jackie and then Dawn, go for it.
Well, it's a snowy, gray morning in Santa Fe. And so I really didn't see any birds for quite a while. And I have an ear infection, so I can't hear hardly anything. And so partly what I did as you were talking was I just love the awareness, and that can be applied to absolutely everything. And then I would glance at the people, all of you, as you were really settling into the awareness, and just how beautiful everyone looks when they're just fully present and enjoying what's around them, and just seeing people smile as they saw something that pleased them. And it's just such a lovely thing to share this with other people. And I'm very, very appreciative of all of you. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I love that. That's so sweet to think about. And it's really fun. Like I say, this, like, my suggestions are always just invitations. And so I love that you just took it and made it your own and did what was inspiring to you. And what a beautiful thing that you got to witness and sort of reflect back to us as well. Thank you, Jacqueline. That's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Notes like this, it's just a highlight.
Aw, thanks. All right, Miss Dawn.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to, at our last mentor session, we were speculating on how birds hear things, if they hear the same as we do. And I did find out another little piece to that. According to Sibley, they process things about 2 times as quickly as we do. Because we were looking at the foot tapping and, we couldn't even see it, but they would be able to hear that. He said to hear like a bird, you would have to slow down the recordings to about half speed. They're picking up stuff twice as quickly as we are.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's something to think about. So yeah, they're picking up a lot more subtleties than we possibly could. And then just to add, this morning, I didn't really get to do the meditation with you guys because as soon as I sat down, I saw a Cooper's hawk fly into a tree right within my view. So I turned you off, Chris. I turned the sound off so I could hear what was going on outside. And I actually heard a lesser goldfinch call right before that, doing what I think means Cooper's hawk. I've heard them do it before, this high little see you, like a plaintive call. And I've noticed them do that before when there's a Cooper's hawk around. And then right then the hawk came in. And so I just turned the sound down on you guys and watched the hawk for 15 minutes. And a crow landed directly above it, didn't make a sound, just sat about 3 feet above it, looked down, and then left and came back and did the same thing again. And the hawk just sat there for a good 15 minutes until somebody left the house and scared it off. And I did see it stretch out one leg and scratch its head, which is one of my things I'm trying to notice. It's an underwing scratcher. I thought I'd seen that before, and I did see it again. It scratched its head under the wing.
I love that. I love that. I'm curious, what was, maybe you just know the people that are in your yard, but like, what was it that told you it was a Cooper's versus a Sharpie?
Yeah, I was looking at that closely. Well, the big thing was the size. The first thing was the way it flew in. I saw it come from one side, and they have just a really directed glide. Like I didn't see any flap at all. It just glided straight in. The Coopers seem much more fluttery to me, more wing beats.
A Sharpie, you mean?
I'm sorry, Sharpie, yeah. It flew directly in, and then once it perched, I could see barely 3 bands on the long tail, and definitely blocky head and more of a cap. It was an adult, so that the nape was gray and the head was darker, and the whole back was kind of grayish too. But yeah, the combination of all those features, I was pretty sure it was a Cooper's. And then when the crow landed directly above it, I could see it was the same size.
Same size. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. It's interesting because sometimes I use that to indicate which one it is, because oftentimes the crows won't really react to a Sharpie, but they will to a Cooper's. And so it made me curious to think like why the crow wasn't responding. And I mean, it was attentive, it sounded like it was really paying attention, but it wasn't alarming. So that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I wondered too, because when they see a Cooper's from a distance, they'll usually call out. I've seen before.
Uh-huh.
But this, landed right above it, didn't make a peep. A gull did fly by and check out the Coopers at one point too, but just kept going. After the Coopers left, the crow returned to that same perch again and did call a few times. So I think they call when it's on the move. They call when they see it moving, not necessarily when it's perched.
I wonder too if the crow is also just sort of, I think he's liking our voices today or something. It seems like every time one of us talks, he gets like really loud. But I wonder also if the crow was maybe like hanging out for some scraps, if it could really tell that the Coopers was like intent on hunting, that it may have been like, all right, let's see what happens, and like maybe we can get some of this.
Yeah, I've been wondering that before too, because a week or so ago, I saw a merlin perched nearby, and the same kind of thing. There were crows I heard calling in the distance, and two different ones flew right by, looked at it, but didn't make a peep. They're just keeping an eye on it, but they're not calling.
Yeah.
They didn't seem terribly disturbed by it, but they're just keeping an eye on it.
Even that, yeah. And that wouldn't surprise, the merlins are so small that they would have nothing to do with crows in terms of, like, a crow could take a merlin out probably, so I would think that they wouldn't be scared of them, but they probably would be opportunistic with something that they might catch for sure. Yeah, they could probably scare a merlin off of its kill. I don't know. I've never seen the two sort of compete for anything, but that with the crow being so much bigger than the merlin, I don't know. You have lots of interesting raptors around you. That's awesome.
Well,
How lucky.
I think I've talked about that before, especially in the winter. They move to town. We don't see that many here in the summer, but in the winter, there are more raptors around.
Soak it up. Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Dawn.
I see birds behind you. I can see them on the ground behind you. What are they?
I'm not looking at them at the moment, but I have juncos and chickadees here, most of them, and then there's a few song sparrows that have been coming around. Likely the ones behind me are probably the juncos or the chickadees. I can't see it through my screen right now, and if I look, it'll probably fly away. So, but those are the ones that I know are around. All right, anyone else? Okay. Well, thanks everyone for coming. So just a little update. Next week is going to be our last call for a while. I'm going to be in Israel for a number of weeks in April, so we won't have any sessions in April, but next week will be the last one, and then we'll return, was it May. So yeah, and then it'll be a whole other world we'll be coming back to. So all right, y'all. Thanks for joining me again today. This was really a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.